Apple did not remove Steve Jobs because he lacked brilliance. They removed him because the way he concentrated power no longer fit the structure the company was becoming. In 1985, after a power struggle that left John Sculley in control, the board stripped Jobs of operational authority. It wasn't framed as betrayal. It wasn't framed as failure. It was framed as stability. But beneath that language, something more fundamental was happening. Steve Jobs did not see Apple as a corporation divided into departments. He saw it as a single organism. And every organism needs a nervous system. He believed clarity required alignment. Alignment required control. And control required concentration. His concentration created velocity. It also created dependence. When every decisive call passes through one mind, the company moves fast. But it also becomes structurally vulnerable. Boards are not designed to protect intensity. They are designed to protect continuity. From the board's perspective, too much meaning lived inside one personality. Product direction, aesthetic judgment, strategic approval, cultural tone, everything filtered through Jobs. That level of centralization produces coherence. It also produces anxiety. What happens if that personality becomes unstable? What happens if that mind walks away? What happens if the system cannot function without him? Jobs saw compromise as dilution. The board saw concentration as fragility. He believed singular vision built the future. They believed distributed authority preserved it. Neither side was irrational. They were operating from incompatible models of power. So when the vote came, it wasn't explosive. It was procedural. But inside that procedure was something that, for Jobs, felt deeply personal. He had built Apple as proof that his internal clarity could shape external reality. And in a single board decision, that mechanism was removed. He didn't just lose a role, he lost the stage where his vision became real. For someone whose identity fused with execution, that isn't a professional setback. It feels like subtraction. Most founders expelled from their own creation react defensively. They escalate. They double down. They attempt to recreate dominance elsewhere. Jobs did something more disciplined. He recalibrated. At Next, resources were limited. Authority was narrower. He could not rely purely on force of personality. At Pixar, he had to coexist with independent creative talent. He could not dominate every outcome. Constraint changed him. When you cannot control everything, you must design systems. When you cannot command every decision, you must choose priorities. When intensity cannot explode outward, it must be directed inward. The younger Jobs believed coherence required control. The returning Jobs understood coherence required architecture. By the time he came back in 1997, Apple was fragmented. Too many products, too many experiments, too much diffusion. The company had solved concentration by eliminating it. And in doing so, it had lost direction. What returned was not the same psychology that had left. It was ambition contained within structure. He didn't expand, he eliminated. He didn't diversify, he narrowed. He didn't seek expression, he imposed discipline. Product lines were cut dramatically. Focus was sharpened. Complexity was stripped away. Control did not disappear. It became strategic. That difference saved Apple. Not because he became softer, but because he learned where intensity belongs. Unrestrained concentration suffocates scale. Unrestrained diffusion suffocates direction. Power without structure becomes instability. Structure without power becomes inertia. When identity fuses with authority, losing control feels existential. But when power is redesigned instead of defended, systems endure. This tension is not unique to Apple. It appears anywhere ambition collides with institution. In technology, in politics, in leadership. Too much concentration suffocates scale. Too much diffusion suffocates direction. power without structure becomes instability. Structure without power becomes inertia. When the two collide, something gives. In companies, in institutions, in every system built around ambition, the pattern is always there.